Hello team and welcome back to another Line War cast. This is your map today in a 1v1 between the Sovereign in blue and El Mexican in red. A lot of interest on these northern two islands. It looks like there's 5 major islands on this map. I'm not sure if infantry can go through this path, so maybe it's 6 islands. But clearly a lot of the eco in the north, which both players care about. So the Sovereign in blue off to the right, Mexican in red on this left island. 3 docks from the Sovereign with a town, 2 docks, 2 barracks, and an airport for Mexican, who will have the advantage of planes, depending on what sort of planes come out of here. The range of strikers is likely around here, midway down the Sovereign's island. This could also be commando drops. Since there's 2 barracks here, it feels like what is going to be commando drops from Mexican. And the range of transport planes from this airport might actually be able to hit the bottom left island. The Sovereign is going to use a transport boat to go to the far right. There are a bunch of trade routes here on the right-hand side of the map. So clearly blue's in a little bit of a better position to potentially get those based on the starting locations. Mexican also has 4 trade routes on the left-hand side. Or rather, I guess it's 3 trade routes, so the Sovereign has way more trade routes themselves. Probably like 5 or 6. I can't count the dotted lines. There's 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's actually a 6th one on the right-hand side. So both players would have a bunch of eco. And it would just depend who can win the bottom right. Maybe we're thinking too far ahead. We'll see how the game progresses if they even get onto those different islands. It is commandos out of the barracks. So this is most certainly commando drops. There is a transport boat on the way for Mexican though, to help out with getting to all the different islands. And 2 cruisers from the Sovereign who will have the strength advantage in the water to start the game. Not only because blue has more docks, but also 2 cruisers right away like this is hard to match. If Mexican just builds straight cruisers out of this 1 dock, blue would still have more. Port on the way for the Sovereign. Energy is a really big concern in this game. Both players have opened up multiple docks, and you can see that both the Sovereign and Mexican have decided they need to take these water gases to keep these navies going. Mexican's going to put this refinery down as soon as this is capped, most likely. And the Sovereign might have to build this island refinery first, which could get dropped on by commandos. Even helicopters would be able to reach this. So a slow start to the game, which is kind of expected in an island game in a 1v1. But an interesting setup. 469 income for blue, 375 for red. And that eco is likely just these industries, town and port. It's a port and 3 industries that the Sovereign is ahead, so to speak, on Mexican. I guess it's actually just 2 industries because Mexican does have this lumber camp. First commandos are getting in the plane. They can reach the bottom left, and that is where they are going. And the Navy for blue moves out. There's usually like a few ways that we see this go down on Navy heavy island maps. Is one player just overwhelms the other with the Navy and then just contains the opponent on one single island. This is usually what happens in my experience. Or somebody just rapidly expands much more quickly to different islands and then just wins an eco game. It is a refinery on land for the Sovereign to start out with. I mean, it certainly makes sense. There's nowhere else that blue can get a refinery. These bottom two are going to come into play. Off of 3 docks, you generally would need 3 refineries, especially as the game goes on. And that goes for both players. I guess Mohican has an airport as well, so it's still like a 3 refinery requirement. Mohican's putting down a depot, connecting it to the refinery, which is probably a good call. Off of just 1 refinery with this many energy consuming units, and like a not super safe feeling gas out in the water. Because there's certainly a chance that blue would have gone for submarines here. And here comes Mohican with 4 commandos. Which could be deadly because there is no building, like producer, on De Sovereign's mainland. All the infantry for blue, that's it. Once the infantry die, there's no way to get more of them. There's not even a barracks for blue yet. So this could be a huge play. Here comes a power plant for De Sovereign, which makes sense, already feeling the struggle of a heavy navy game and the energy requirements. And was this spotted by De Sovereign? So De Sovereign does see this with the vision of the boats, and will be able to send some infantry down to start trying to help out. 4 capping infantry are officially on the rightmost island for blue. And there are very likely 2 commandos in the bottom left for Mohican, and they have capped that first territory. See, it's like really good if blue can get away with not building a barracks on this starting island. Would be ideal, and be able to invest that money elsewhere. This is what's going to hurt a lot for blue. So like what I mean by that is, I feel like in theory, as long as the Sovereignty can handle this and take out these 4 commandos and then get the Navy up to defend the coast, it's a really good play that there is no barracks here. The 2 strikers are going to complicate things. Over time, they are going to be able to destroy the refinery. They're not going to be able to destroy it this first time that they attack. They'll have to return to base and come back, I believe. Unless the 3rd pass with the strikers will kill that refinery. Clearly the commandos are just jetting over to the docks. They're getting a great scout. This is Mohican's vision, so the town and port is seen at this point. If the strikers weren't able to get the refinery, the commandos certainly will. The strikers are now just shooting their machine guns. So someone would have to go sandbox that to check if 2 strikers can actually kill a refinery before returning to base. The questions that keep me up at night. These commandos have been hasting, so this one's like super tired. They're both super tired. That's why they're hunched over, running in slow motion. The airport for Mohican is almost filled up. So there has to either be an airstrip, or the plan for red might be to just not build more planes after this airport is full. There's more commandos landing. There's a factory now for De Sovereign, which is very likely in response to the strikers. And this is going to be Sam's. And it is Sam's. Blue has no choice but to rebuild this refinery. It's a tough map. It really is a tough map because there's not a lot of good energy locations. And the way it works is that a power plant is a 1/3 as efficient as a refinery, but it costs just as much. So it's not really super tenable for De Sovereign to just build more power plants. So these strikers very likely, and they might just like end the game. This might be it. I don't think De Sovereign would have expected strikers in this game necessarily, since we don't see strikers as often, it feels like. But it's a great spawn location for Mohican to do this from this mountain. Disarmament has to put this refinery down again. There's just too many boats. There's an option potentially for blue to just cut boat production and then build power plants as much as it hurts. Mohican's got second gas on the way. That's the noise we just heard. This is going super well for red. Income-wise, 643 for Mohican, 669 for Desovereign. So although blue is ahead on eco, just like tempo-wise in this game, clearly momentum's in red's favor. Gonna catch all these boats out of energy, so the blue boats are gonna take 50% more damage whenever they show that black plume of smoke for the next 5 seconds. And more red reinforcements. The first SAM is out, second SAM is on its way. So blue might be able to get enough SAMs here. The problem here is that the blue infantry count is thinning out. And as mentioned before, there is no barracks here, so these are not going to be replaced. And then losing the navy is a huge problem. The 3 cruisers in the north for blue, if they had the energy, could maybe do some damage and take out one of the refineries. But they are just cruisers, so the strikers could just show up to try to deal with them. And the Sovereign is going to try to defend this. SAMs will do alright against the infantry. But even then, there's just too many, and you don't really want to fight the SAMs against infantry because they're going to have to deal with these strikers at some point. Top down, this is what it's looking like. Mohican's got 4 territories in the bottom and one of the farms. And there is a cruiser down in the bottom close to these energy wells, but just a great attack from Mohican. Great openers with it. Unfortunate like energy spot for the Sovereign that had to be taken. And now the commandos will take out all the refineries. The boats will stop moving entirely. I said refineries, I mean power plants. And unfortunately 3 cruisers in the north weren't able to take that out. Mohican's going to start ecoing behind this, which makes sense. And then the Red's Navy could just pick off these boats one by one and show up at the docks. Destroy everything. Disarmament nearly has the trade route open, which would have been huge in this game. I mean, if Disarmament is able to defend that gas and not lose this island, blue would have been in a very good spot on eco. 734 for blue, 683 for red. But one blue cruiser against this many red boats, it doesn't even matter if the cruiser's there. GG, well played. Props to Mohican for posting this in the match replays channel on the Discord. Check out the Discord if you'd like to learn more about the game. Find games, ask questions. Twitch.tv/SodaQuackers. Thank you for all the support. Hope you have a wonderful night, day, evening, whatever it is. Peace.